Have you ever noticed how the people who know the least about a topic often speak with the absolute most confidence? Whether it's an internet commenter fiercely arguing with certified medical scientists, or a coworker who thinks they can run an entire multi-million-dollar company after reading one single article, there is a terrifying psychological phenomenon at play here. It's not just big ego, and it's not just a bad personality. It is a fundamental glitch in human neurology known as the Dunning-Kruger Effect. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why your own brain might be tricking you into thinking you're a genius, and the exact psychological trap that keeps incompetent people completely blind to their own ignorance. To understand how this brain trap works, we have to go back to the year 1995 in Pittsburgh, USA, to examine one of the most unbelievable real-life crimes in human history. A man named MacArthur Wheeler walked into two different banks in broad daylight and robbed them at gunpoint. He wore no mask, made zero attempt to disguise his face, and even smiled directly into the security cameras before walking out with the cash. When police officers tracked him down just hours later and played the surveillance footage, Wheeler was genuinely horrified. He stared at the screen in disbelief and uttered four famous words, "But I wore the juice." As it turns out, Wheeler had learned that lemon juice can be used as invisible ink on paper. So, in his mind, he logically concluded that rubbing fresh lemon juice on his face would make his face completely invisible to security cameras. Wheeler wasn't crazy. He was just so profoundly incompetent that his brain couldn't recognize how utterly absurd his logic actually was. This bizarre story caught the attention of two psychologists at Cornell University, David Dunning and Justin Kruger. They wanted to answer a fundamental question. Can a person be so unskilled that they lack the mental ability to realize they are unskilled? To test this hypothesis, they conducted a series of landmark psychological experiments. They tested hundreds of university students on logic, grammar, and humor. After the test, they asked each student to estimate how well they performed compared to their classmates. The statistical results were mind-blowing. The students who scored in the bottom 12th percentile, those who performed terribly, estimated that their skills were in the 62nd percentile. In simple terms, the worst performers believed they were better than almost two-thirds of the entire group. Dunning and Kruger identified what they called the double burden. Incompetent people lack both the skill to succeed and the cognitive capability to recognize their own failure. To visualize how this trap unfolds in real life, psychologists use a curve with four distinct stages of knowledge. Stage 1 is what scientists literally call Mount Stupid. This happens when a person learns a tiny fraction of information about a complex topic, like reading 2 tweets about stock trading or watching one video on geopolitics. Because they know so little, they don't even know how much they don't know. Their confidence spikes to 100%, putting them right at the peak of Mount Stupid. Stage 2 occurs only if they continue studying. As they dive deeper, they crash into the Valley of Despair. This is the painful moment they realize how vast and complex the topic actually is, and their confidence drops straight to zero. If they persist through Stage 3, the slope of enlightenment, they gradually build real, genuine expertise, eventually reaching the plateau of sustainability. But here lies the ultimate psychological paradox. True experts often suffer from the exact opposite problem of beginners. Because experts know how difficult a subject is, they mistakenly assume everyone else must also find it easy. They consistently underestimate their own intelligence, often falling victim to imposter syndrome. So, to summarize human psychology, incompetent people are utterly convinced they are geniuses, while actual geniuses spend their time doubting their own brilliance. Why is the Dunning-Kruger effect more dangerous today than ever before? Because modern internet algorithms reward high confidence, not high accuracy. A person sitting on Mount Stupid will post loud, aggressive opinions with total certainty, making them sound convincing. Meanwhile, an expert sitting in the Valley of Despair will speak with caution and nuance, making them sound hesitant. We as humans are hardwired to mistake loud confidence for actual competence. So how do you make sure you aren't currently standing on top of Mount Stupid in some area of your life? First, ask yourself, when was the last time I admitted I was wrong about something major? If you can't remember, your ego is likely blinding your perception. Second, Actively seek out opinions from people who disagree with you. The smartest minds don't look for arguments that prove them right. They hunt for evidence that proves them wrong. The next time you encounter someone who sounds 100% sure about a complex topic, remember MacArthur Wheeler and his lemon juice. Real intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing how much you still have to learn. If you enjoyed this psychological breakdown, subscribe to Why Secrets for more hidden truths behind human behavior. Thanks for watching.